The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome to the Marketing with Purpose series of the Bliss Business Podcast, where we explore what it really takes for marketing leaders to create impact that goes beyond the numbers. I'm Michelle, and in each episode, we sit down with marketing experts to explore their leadership approach and strategies that drive performance and resonate with their audience. Together, we'll dive into what's working, what's not, and how purpose and empathy can transform the way brands connect with people. Let's get started. Today, I'm joined by Katherine LeBlanc, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Forever Young, Anti-Aging Solutions. Katherine is a dynamic marketing leader with over 20 years of experience in franchising across industries like food, health, and beauty. Known for shaping brand strategies and driving revenue growth, she's also led powerful collaborations between IT, operations, and marketing teams, creating unified, high-performing organizations. At Forever Young, she's spearheading the brand's expansion in the fast-growing med spa industry, where aesthetics and wellness converge to redefine aging experience. We're going to explore breaking down silos across teams, and I'm excited to dive in. Katherine, before we dive in, I'd love to hear, why was breaking down silos across teams the topic you chose to explore with us today, and what makes it so important right now?
Hey, Michelle, thank you so much for having me on your podcast and for that awesome intro question. So for me, when I think about marketing is the revenue driver for businesses. We are charged with driving new customers into the businesses. We are charged with developing programs that are going to be interesting to those customers to come back and spend more with us and come back more often into our locations. And so when we think about those revenue drivers, there's only so much marketing can really execute once those plans are set. And so it's really working across departments on that execution portion of the marketing plan that makes it successful. So I chose this topic because it's very important to me, because I don't think I can be successful without partnership from multiple departments across any industry.
Love that you said that. I read that teams with strong collaboration are 5 times more impactful, right? And more successful across the board, and more likely just to perform at the highest level too. So,
well, and we're all working. Yeah. Sorry. I was going to say, when you're all working towards the same goal, you can often get caught up in the, I'm in charge of this section, you're in charge of this section, and you don't often talk about, well, how do they work together? And so I have found that, look, my marketing programs fall flat if I do not have the ops support and team behind it. My marketing programs aren't well executed if I don't have IT involved in order to make sure that the back end systems are working the way that they should work. So yeah, I don't think I can be successful without that collaboration.
Oh, love that you said that. CMOs are often pulled between near-term campaign results and long-term brand building. How do you ensure your marketing strategy stays aligned with the company's growth goals, and where do you find the biggest friction points in making that happen?
Michelle, you have hit a nerve for me. This is truly a existential crisis that marketers face in every single organization. How do we put the foundational plans in place that are going to be impactful for the brand in 6 to 12 months while solving the issues of today? And it's the place that we live. We live at this intersection every single day. We have stakeholders really pounding down the door of, how are we fixing these marketing problems as soon as possible? And you have marketers reporting back, I cannot fix this tomorrow, right? So I always talk about with my teams, anyone that wants to listen, marketing is momentum. And what we do today is what is going to impact 6 months from now. And so if we're not hitting our goals today, I take a look at, okay, well, what were we doing 6 months ago, 3 months ago that made us miss today? And what are we doing to fix that problem? Now, most of the time you get yourself in a rut and you do have problems of today that you have to fix tomorrow. And you really just have to find the balance of, I think it's a parallel pathing. Anything that I do and anything that the teams work on are always parallel path to what am I working on today that I know is going to be impactful in 3 months, and what am I working on today that needs to be impactful tomorrow. So I'll give you an example. We are working on our program for the new year and what we should be kind of promoting and pushing in that new year. And so as we think about that build up to the new year, I'm having conversations with my leadership team to say, look, I've already started laying the framework. I started in August laying the framework for a program that's going to be launched in January, and really outlining this is how the framework gets laid. Here's the testing that we're doing. Here's the creative development that we're doing. Here's how long those things take. Really educating my peers and my leadership on how long everything takes so that it's clear. In order to impact 6 months from now, I've got to start today. Now, in addition to that, we're looking at what are those immediate levers that we can pull. And when you think about immediate levers, those are going to be the flash sales, the text messages, the email programs that you can deploy and talk to your customers in that immediate sense. And so whenever we kind of talk about the battle between what am I doing to fix tomorrow and then to fix 6 months ago from now, I really try and break it down into what prep is needed for that 6 month plan, and then what are the levers I have available to me in the immediate plan. And oftentimes, like I said, those levers are going to be how am I talking to the customer and what am I telling the customer. And so that's how I think education can balance. But at the end of the day, we have to be successful. And if I don't lay that foundation and that prep for a successful campaign, I am holding the bag when we need a solution for tomorrow. And so I try and keep that in mind as I'm juggling priorities every single day.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. In high-stakes situations like a brand crisis or market turndown, how do you maintain a sense of purpose and empathy while making quick strategic decisions?
Yeah, I think that emotions, especially in franchising, are very high. And when you're working with small business owners who have invested not only their dollars into the success of their business, they've invested their confidence, they've invested their ego, they've invested their sense of purpose and their sense of self into this business. And when they are not feeling successful, that really can turn into some negative interactions, both with the franchisor, with their team, and with how the business can succeed. And, that's where you'll hear franchisors kind of talk about, I'm not just, here to work programs and develop processes, but I also serve as a therapist because small business owners, specifically with us, it's franchisees. You do have to balance. It can't be all black and white. This is the program. This is the process. Let's follow the process. There's got to be some empathy. There's got to be some changing of communication styles to fit the person that you're talking to in order to get their adoption and buy-in into the process. The process only works if you want to work it. And when a franchisee is facing a downturn, when a franchisee is facing failure, their adoption of the process, it becomes more and more butting heads around the process because they feel like the process is failing them. When 90% of the time, it's not the process that's failed them; it's their kind of adoption and execution of the process and lean into the support that they receive. But it's that emotion that can block them from really embracing it and getting it there. And so, as franchisors, our field team, our coaches do have to bring empathy into the conversations and understand that we're not just talking about if you do this, that will happen. We're talking about the roll up of my sense of self is in this business, and you need to help me kind of separate that and see the business for what it is.
Yeah, that is such a true, valid point. It's really wonderful that your team is open and compassionate and willing to ask questions and listen actively and really get to the core of maybe what the friction is, right? That's holding that franchisee back. And it does impact not just, as you mentioned, them, but also their families, even their community, because franchises
Absolutely.
are very, much a part of their micro community, and they often support
Mhm.
other organizations in the community as well. So
Mhm.
it has a ripple effect. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the franchisees that understand their role in the micro community that they live in are more successful, because they understand that not only are they building a business and building a business for themselves, but they're building a business for the community. They're giving jobs to the community, they're giving the product to the community, and they are giving themselves to the community. And the franchisees that really embrace that, I find, are can find success and fulfillment in ways that are beyond profit.
Yeah, fulfillment for sure. That's what we hear time and again when we talk with a franchisor and franchisees too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really one of the true benefits of being in a franchise, having,
Mm-hmm.
being a franchisee. Can you share a time when customer feedback or behavior data completely shifted your campaign direction, and what that taught you about balancing intuition with analytics?
Yeah, I think that I'm trying to think of a specific example. I did a brand relaunch with Painting with a Twist. I was with them in 2019, and we were going through a bit of a downturn of the business, and we had people in the business talking about one direction they wanted to go in, and then we had the founders kind of talking to us about how the business was founded. And so when we looked at, essentially the direction was, do we lean into the class aspect of the concept? So Painting with a Twist is a paint and sip. You come in and you get instruction on a simple painting. You have a good time while you're doing it. It's BYOB, so you bring your own alcohol, and it's a big party in the space. And so we had one point of view around, well, people want to come in. Our paintings are what is driving the customer coming in, and we should offer more painting instruction and help people get kind of deeper into their art as a direction for the company. And then there was the kind of counterpoint to that was, the company was founded on women having a great time in a really safe place that their partners were comfortable with them going to, that they were comfortable being in. They weren't getting hit on. They weren't, worried about who's being seen and who's being seen. And so we did research to really figure out, what direction should we drive the company in. And the research, what was interesting to me and was a kind of nugget that I wouldn't have assigned to the brand, was that feeling of safeness, and that the space was a safe place for women. And look, the concept attracts both men and women, but let's be honest, women are bringing their men with them.
Usually.
It was attracting women not because, in addition to being so fun and, a kind of a great alternative to the bar scene, that alternative to the bar scene was rooted in the idea that I am safe here. And so that was a really interesting nugget that came out of research and really informed what that brand relaunch would look like. Now, 2020 happened right when we were ready to launch the brand. And so we did launch it. And our point of view was, we're going to launch new logo, new website, all of it, so that we are ready to bounce back from the shutdowns. And they did, and they bounced back, meeting their pre-COVID numbers within a couple of months. And so, I feel like that is a testament to getting everybody speaking the same language, consistently kind of talking the same talk, again, driving momentum in what the brand is, and digging into the true purpose of the brand and what it was delivering to the consumer. And so I would say that was a point where, the research really elevated a point of the brand that I don't think anyone would have seen on first blush.
Yeah, you really understood your audience, right, at their core level. Very interesting, especially the whole safety aspect, right? When they were coming to participate in a creative experience. What's worked best for turning marketing into a revenue driver at your company? And where do you still see gaps in CRM, lead tracking, or sales alignment that make it hard to measure success?
Well, that is a heavy question. There's a lot to unpack. Look, I think that marketing is revenue. And as marketers, we have to embrace that. It's not, we have to be able to tie. And I think nowadays it's pretty clear. We have to tie our activities to revenue generating KPIs. And we love tracking and love KPIs as every business should. Look, I fought to say, look, new patients and revenue generated by those new patients at Forever Young should be my responsibility. And so I want to be held accountable to that and be held accountable to that growth. Now, I think that there's challenges that pop up when it comes to really owning a KPI wholly. And that's where that breaking down the silos, collaboration, and getting the teams working together towards the goal really makes a difference. But I would say that, the challenges that we're having is, I think, challenges that a lot of brands are having twofold. One is, there is consumer spending is not necessarily where the media is telling us it is. We are seeing some shrinkage and some purse kind of tightening around spending. And so that's just the reality that we're all working in, right? It's a macro piece where we don't use it as an excuse. It's just a fact. And it's a fact that we have to operate in order to drive more growth. The second thing that I have seen at this brand, but I've also heard other marketers kind of talk about, is there was a shift in starting with COVID. There was a shift in driving immediate action from your consumer, which looks like digital media. It looks like running ads on Meta, running ads on search, running offers and discounts to drive that immediate action. There was a shift towards that in the COVID world where everything was digital, right? And you were just kind of bombarded by buy this, buy this, buy this. And in that shift, we have lost that brand awareness layer. And we lost it in a couple of ways. You heard it in 2023-ish, early 2024, a call to action around getting back to local store marketing and really getting the franchisees out into the local communities where they didn't have to do that during COVID. And that was a habit that really set in. And galvanizing that activity has been difficult. And it's been difficult across franchising to really help the franchisee understand when we don't invest in local store marketing, we are losing a really important brand awareness layer. And then the other piece of that is educating leaderships and our internal teams around our dollars and our efforts cannot, and this goes back to the what can I fix tomorrow versus what can I fix in 6 months. We can't spend our dollars on the bottom of funnel tactics because they erode, and we're seeing that erosion. Everything is getting more expensive as far as advertising goes. And it's because if we don't invest in that brand awareness layer, we're losing efficiencies when it comes to bottom of funnel, because I'm asking you to spend $1 with me when you don't know anything about me. And I've got to tell you, building a brand is becoming knowable, likable, trustable, right? So I have to be knowable, likable, trustable before you'll spend that $1 with me. And so it's kind of getting back to marketing 101 around how do you build a brand? You build a brand by becoming knowable, likable, trustable, obviously having a product that nobody else is offering and doing and delivering it in an excellent way. And then you get down to, okay, well then how do I really, conquest over the customer with a bottom of funnel strategy? And so I would say the challenges facing marketing right now is that we are measured on what's in the CRM. We are measured on what our cost per leads are and what the activity is. And because, our advertising infrastructure has fallen in love with all of this data, we lose the investment in top of funnel and the ability to prove out brand awareness as a layer that then impacts bottom of funnel. Nobody wants to give us the time to really prove that out, because it takes 3 to 6 months to really seed in that brand awareness kind of impact. Now, brand takes more than 3 to 6 months to really build out, but you can start to see that impact in that 3 to 6 months, and everybody kind of wants a fix tomorrow. So, look, it all circles back to that initial question around how do you balance both demands, and it's a juggling act.
For sure. That leads to my next question. What's your approach to developing marketing talent so they not only hit performance goals, but also stay engaged and inspired? And where do you see leaders struggling most in retaining top talent?
I think that there's a lot going on in the talent space right now, which is interesting to follow. For me personally, my core value, or one of my core values, is to strive for the success of others. And so whether that success is with me and on my team or outside of me and my team, my goal is to help you find the success that you're looking for. And when we approach it when I approach it that way, it becomes less about what are the tasks in front of you that you need to get done, and more about how am I supporting you to be your best self. And so I spend a lot of time with my team trying to think through or working with them on prioritization and, what is important to accomplish, like what's right in front of you versus, again, like what are we planning for? What are we building? And I think that, I think that people have a hard time with that. And that's a lesson that comes with experience around how do I prioritize what I know is going to make my life easier in 6 months versus the banging on the door that's happening today. And so helping my team really suss out like what deserves your attention, I think is one thing that I support my team on. The other is, I really have no patience for drama and drama is an ambiguous word, but it's like solve your own problems and giving you the space to solve your own problems. So if you have a challenge with somebody on the team or somebody across departments, you've got to figure that out. And I set that expectation really early, especially again, when it comes to breaking down silos, right? And so I manage the marketing team. I have a counterpart that manages our operations team. And at Forever Young, that's really the two big teams on, at headquarters. And so when my team comes to me with frustrations around, this ops person is doing this and I'm not getting this done, I don't, it's like, okay, that's a statement, but what are we doing to fix it? And what are you going to do to manage and better that relationship? Because it's about relationship building and really communicating, like, these are your partners in crime. This is your buddy. This is the people that are going to help you get the most done. And so how are you building that relationship so that they want to root for you and you want to root for them? We don't all like each other, right? Like, we're people, we're human. We're not going to, agree on all of the things. We're going to get frustrated with each other, but we can't villainize each other. And, that's what happens when we do break into silos, where it becomes, us versus them, whether it's marketing versus ops or headquarters versus franchisees or, your staff, versus each other. You start to villainize and you start to kind of everything that they do, can you believe you did this? And if you get into that negative kind of space, you can really spiral, and it's emotionally taxing, right? And you don't do your best work. And so with my team, I try and set the expectations very early that it does not matter if you like this person or not. This is your partner in crime, and you have to develop a relationship with them and figure out how to make it work, or you're not going to work here. And that's just what it is, because we don't have time, right? We don't have time for emotional baggage.
Or the energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it can destroy cultures too, I think, as well. So having a culture built around empathy and active listening and communication, and really just being aware of how important emotional intelligence is, really does help, I think, help employees to work through those situations, right? If they
my counterpart, my SVP of Ops, Alyssa, has an awesome saying that I always go back to as like positive intent. Everyone is here with positive intent, and when you can remember that we aren't here to tear each other down. We're only here to make each other better. And you take statements that might feel like an attack and remember, okay, there's positive intent behind that. It really changes the dynamic of how you interact with each other. And I really, applaud her for reminding us on a daily basis, like, okay, the intent behind this was positive. And so how do we embrace it in a positive way and then make the most, get the most constructive output from it?
I love that. And our CEO, Steven Sakash, he always says, when there's a difficult situation, do the loving thing. It's such a simple but powerful statement, right?
It really is.
To take a step back and think and be kind. Mm-hmm. When you think about the role marketing plays in your company's future, how do you feel about the role of purpose and empathy in creating genuine resonance, connecting with people in a way that reflects your company values?
Yeah, so our company, Forever Young is a modern wellness destination. And what that means is we are helping people redefine what's possible at every age and every stage. So when you come into a Forever Young, we are offering services that are going to help you look and feel your most confident. When you walk out, you are going to feel like a new person, and you're going to be tapped into more energy, more confidence, more, chutzpah, ready to take on the day. And so when we build that with someone, that empathy and understanding where they are in their life journey and what they want to get out of what is coming next is at the core of that. And we have a core value called transparent care that really speaks to this, where, when you come in and see us, our process is, for our wellness side of things, we do a blood panel where it's 70 plus biomarkers, and we develop a custom plan for you to then invest in your health and wellness. And if we didn't come to that table of here's your plan with empathy, we wouldn't have any sales. we wouldn't be believable. And so similarly on the aesthetic side of things, our consults are, what do you want to feel when you walk out the door? What are the areas that are bothering you, that are preventing you from feeling your best and feeling, the most confident? And building a plan that is not all about like, this is the newest, injectable to put in your face. It's more about, if this is your plan, these are the tools that we have to help support the results that you're looking for. And so empathy and understanding our patients and what their goals are is at the core of our offering. And it is reflected in our core values through that one called transparent care.
Oh, that's fantastic. It reminds me a little of Glossier. They always say skin first, glamour second.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Bliss Business Podcast, Marketing with Purpose series. I hope today's conversation sparked new ideas for how you can align strategy, execution, and purpose in your own work. If you found value in this discussion, like, subscribe, and share it to keep the conversation going. And remember, great marketing doesn't just sell, it serves. See you next time.